My fellow Americans.
Take the red pill.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
The disastrous rise of misplaced power exists.
All we have built, all we have worked for, would be destroyed.
There is nothing the political establishment will not do.
And this nation will not be fully free until all its citizens are free.
Our arms must be mighty, ready for instant action,
These criminals cannot be rewarded.
so that no potential aggressor may be tempted to risk his own destruction.
There is a point beyond which they must not advance.
They're coming after you, and I'm just standing in their way. Here I am.
You and I have a rendezvous with destiny.
The cost of freedom is always high.
Those who had the most to lose did the least to prevent its happening.
Our movement is about replacing a failed and corrupt political establishment.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers.
This is a crusade! This is a holy war against the deep state!
We never wanted to be right, but yet things are all adding up to the firestorm.
Here's my plan to dismantle the deep state and reclaim our democracy from Washington corruption once and for all. And corruption it is. First, I will immediately reissue my 2020 executive order restoring the president's authority to remove rogue bureaucrats, and I will wield that power very aggressively. Second, we will clean out all of the corrupt actors in our national security and intelligence apparatus, and there are plenty of them. The departments and agencies that have been weaponized will be completely overhauled, so that faceless bureaucrats will never again be able to target and persecute conservatives, Christians, or the left's political enemies, which they're doing now at a level that nobody can believe even possible. Third, we will totally reform FISA courts, which are so corrupt that the judges seemingly do not care when they are lied to in warrant applications. So many judges have seen so many applications that they know were wrong, or at least they must have known. They do nothing about it. They're lied to. Fourth, to expose the hoaxes and abuses of power that have been tearing our country apart, we will establish a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to declassify and publish all documents on deep state spying, censorship, and corruption. And there are plenty of them. Fifth, we will launch a major crackdown on government leakers who collude with the fake news to deliberately weave false narratives and to subvert our government and our democracy. When possible, we will press criminal charges. Sixth, we will make every Inspector General's office independent and physically separated from the departments they oversee, so they do not become the protectors of the deep state. Seventh, I will ask Congress to establish an independent auditing system to continually monitor our intelligence agencies to ensure they are not spying on our citizens or running disinformation campaigns against the American people, or that they are not spying on someone's campaign like they spied on my campaign. Eighth, we will continue the effort launched by the Trump administration to move parts of the sprawling federal bureaucracy to new locations outside the Washington swamp. Just as I moved the Bureau of Land Management to Colorado, as many as 100,000 government positions could be moved out, and I mean immediately, of Washington to places filled with patriots who love America, and they really do love America. Ninth, I will work to ban federal bureaucrats from taking jobs at the companies they deal with and that they regulate. So they deal with these companies and they regulate these companies, and then they want to take jobs from these companies. Doesn't work that way. Such a public display cannot go on, and it's taking place all the time, like with Big Pharma. Finally, I will push a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on members of Congress. This is how I will shatter the deep state and restore government that is controlled by the people and for the people. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. My name is Josh, and welcome to the Red Pill Project Daily Dose. Live with you Monday through Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is where we bring you that unfolding global conspiracy. Running just a little bit late tonight, but hey, you know what? That's life. Lots going on in the world. I got kids. That's what it comes down to. But right there you heard the plan. The plan to dismantle the deep state by Donald Trump. And pretty damn amazing what he just said there, isn't it? Decentralization of the federal government outside of Washington, D.C., term limits upon our elected officials and bureaucrats, the elimination of corrupt bureaucrats, oversight upon the various different parts of the government who are aligned with corruption, external from their own departments. I mean, it always baffled me why we have an inspector general's office, like the inspector general of the intelligence community, that is directly underneath the director of national intelligence. Why? Because they're there to maintain and keep the secrets. Where can you find that video? You can find that on my X page at x.com/realjoshuareed. It is posted right at the top. And listen, guys, Trump's plan. I want to go through this a little bit. So let me pull up. It's not the 2025 plan. I know a lot of people are talking about the 2025. You know, Trump's plan, if you just listen to his words right there, it's quite interesting. Yes, he talks about dismantling the left's radicalness within Congress and Senate, within the bureaucracy. But everything he just said there is anti-fascist. It is the opposite of what they call him, in the sense of calling him Hitler, calling him a fascist, calling him a socialist, calling him a Nazi, or whatever they want to call him. It's quite interesting to watch this unfold. And, you know, as Dan Scavino put yesterday on X, I want to show you this because you got to understand who you're talking to, who you are really talking to here. Remember, less than 9, the best is yet to come. Less than 9. Who makes up that team that we would call the Q team? Who was posting on there? Who knew about it? Who was organized in it? We've identified certain figures in that. I don't mind giving their names out. I'm 92.5% positive. Donald Trump, Dan Scavino, Kash Patel, Steve Bannon, General Michael Flynn. That's the 5 that I know. I said it. There you go. I believe Jeff Sessions was a part of that. I don't know what happened to Jeff Sessions. Maybe health problems or something. But now I want you to buckle up, because you're about to hear the reaction of members of our military at 2 a.m. when Donald Trump was announced president. This is the Virginia Military Institute barracks at 2 a.m. when they announced Donald Trump president of the United States. Listen to this.
Attention, inside and outside areas. The winner of the 2024 presidential election is Donald J. Trump.
Let's go!
The military loves this guy. And there's a reason why the military loves this guy. Because this man loves the military. He loves the American people. He loves his country. And he has already put his life on the line twice. More than twice, if we go back to 2017 to 2020. I want you to listen to this 40 seconds from Steve Bannon, because he really lays it home. Check this out.
What you did to Trump and what you try to do to Trump, understand this, folks. If we had lost on Tuesday, Donald Trump was going to spend the rest of his adult life that was not in a courtroom in a federal prison. Nancy Pelosi and these had every opportunity to put him, and that's what they were going to do. They're going to put a superseding indictment, and they were going to put Trump in prison for 10 or 20 years to die in prison. To die in prison. That's the stakes. To die in prison. Didn't quite work out, did it, folks? Didn't quite work out.
Didn't quite work out, folks, did it? Didn't quite work out. As if there was a plan all along. And I'm going to point out a little something. I want you to look behind Steve Bannon there and tell me what you see. Do you see it? There are no conspiracies, but there are no coincidences. Just saying. Take that for what it's worth. General Michael Flynn today. We are hearing an enormous amount of teeth gnashing by some of the elites on the left about Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. may or may not do to hold select people or organizations accountable from previous indiscretions or criminal actions directed against we the people in our beautiful United States of America. To be honest, I find it of great interest. If you've done nothing wrong, there's no need to worry. So why whine or complain about this recent blowout presidential victory? No need to. As a nation, this is how our constitutional republic is supposed to function. On the other hand, if you committed acts of, let's say, treason or conspiracy to undermine the president of the United States or key members of the United States government, then maybe you should worry a little bit. And it is undeniable that certain people committed these egregious acts, and you know who you are. So what? Those of you gnashing, you have every right to go out and say what you want. I certainly know what it is like to be told you can't communicate. Just know millions of Americans have your number, and whatever President Trump decides to do or not, we know who you are and what you did to try to destroy America. And although you may still get an invite to a black tie affair in Washington, D.C., you will not find too many welcomes out in the main streets of America. Soon, they won't be able to walk down the streets. That said, if you'd like to confess your sins of abuse of your past and continue to expose yourselves even more, be our guest. Speaking for myself, I am thoroughly enjoying watching you grind your teeth to the gums. The majority of Americans wants to reunite to MAGA. But we also know that moving forward, there has to be accountability. Then he tags Barack Obama, John Brennan, Comey, and many others. And you got to remember what Donald Trump just said. He is going to launch a federal task force that is going to take down human trafficking networks. He's going to assign a task force under the executive of the President of the United States with special prosecutorial powers to investigate the crimes and the corruptions of our government officials and our bureaucrats. Fucking let's go. Kash Patel with Benny. I'll let Kash talk here because this is what's coming, people. This is what we are absolutely in store for. But there's a harsh road to take. And I was with a couple guys today. Michael Jaco, Scott McKay, Alpha Warrior, and Nino. And we did a roundtable about everything. There's some things coming down the road, guys. We have to understand that. But at first, let's embrace the win and the nothing can stop what's coming. Let's listen to Kash Patel here with Benny.
And then when we go back to DOJ and FBI, we still don't have all the list, all the FISAs, all of the stuff they did to 275,000 Americans illegally in 1 year. Put that out there. I'm not saying put in the recipe on how to do it. We can keep the hood on the engine, but we can show the American people how they violated our rights. And to me, what you said is the most important, restoring trust.
Yes.
In our agencies and departments. That the way to do that is not to get a piñata and just punch them mercilessly and hoping for some bubble gum to pop out. The way to do that is to literally give the American people the truth. And that's what they feared about Donald Trump. He's going to come in there and maybe give him the Epstein list and maybe give him the P. Diddy list. You know, he's going to come up there and maybe do all these things, and they are terrified.
Yeah, I believe that's part of the reason why Jimmy Kimmel was crying last night on his program. But also, I believe that this is something that the American public desperately want. And most importantly, this is how you restore honor and how you restore trust. Now, many may not know, some will, that you are personally responsible for the research on the Russiagate collusion. Everything we know about Russiagate, and we know maybe like less than half of what really happened with Russiagate, Kash Patel is the one who found it out with Devin Nunes. So, Kash, you have an excellent pedigree in rooting out the truth. Will we get the full Diddy list? Will we get Epstein? Will we get JFK? Will we get the rest of what happened with Russia collusion?
That's what I want. That's what I want as me as an American citizen. That's what I want in terms of achieving that restoration of respect for government in DC that's been gone for like 50, 60 years, right? I had said on the campaign trail when I was on the Team Trump bus tour or surrogate somewhere, I said, America has a chance to retire the dynastic families that have rained down corruption in Washington, D.C. on November 5th. You could have retired the Bushes, the Cheneys, the Clintons, and the Obamas. And you know what, Benny? For the first time, I get to say they did. And part of that mandate that they delivered to Donald Trump is simply they want the truth.
Yes.
And I don't know why it has been, well, I do know why, but I believe and hope President Trump is going to go in there and just be a vehicle, a conveyor belt for the truth, and just put it out nonstop. Yes. Agriculture department, education, labor, all of it, everywhere. And Congress is going to play such a critical role in these oversight investigations. Just think of what you can accomplish if you have a director or a secretary who actually works with the Republican chairman or chairwoman on oversight. It's incredible, not just for corruption revelation purposes, but to see how we actually budget and stop lighting your money on fire.
Boom. He just nailed it right there, didn't he? Imagine what happens when you have an FBI director. Imagine what happens when you have a Secretary of Homeland Security, Secretary, the Attorney General, that actually sit down and work with a Republican Congress and say, this is what we discovered. Look at this shit, what they were doing. Look at this stuff, what they were doing. That's what we're about to see. Now, David Sachs, okay, came out there and put this out. So David Sachs, venture capitalist, he came out there. He supported Donald Trump, former Democrat. Listen to what he said. He said, why Trump won? Well, the legacy media has a meltdown searching for hitherto undiagnosed psychoses in the electorate to explain its embrace of a Hitlerian strongman. The truth is much simpler than the fictions. This election is a reminder that after all the manufactured drama and overheated rhetoric, politics is still about issues. Whether you agreed with him or not, Trump ran a substantive campaign based on issues like the border, inflation, crime, and war. Harris ran on vibes, celebrity endorsements, name-calling, debunked hoaxes, and platitudes. She would neither defend the Biden-Harris record nor say what she would do differently. When she did talk about specific issues, they were often stolen from Trump: child tax credit, no tax tips, border funding. On the one issue where Democrats had an advantage, abortion, Trump definitely got ahead on the issue by rejecting a national ban and removing problematic language from the GOP platform. Harris wore out the issue by blatantly lying about Trump's position and by exhibiting her own party's extremism. Well, Trump expanded his coalition with MAHA, Make America Healthy Again, and the Department of Government Efficiency. Harris concluded her rot campaign by going all in on demonizing her opponent, pretending Madison Square Garden was a Nazi convention. The fact that voters saw through it should be reassuring. Even if you don't agree with the result, voters want to know how the candidate will give them a better life, and increasingly, they have learned to tune out the rest as noise. While the legacy media creates excuses and impugns the motives of voters to explain why Trump won, the reason is simple. Trump is the candidate who spoke to the voters' concerns directly. It's the issues, stupid. He's got a good point. Do you know the one man in the United States of America right now who is directly responsible for Donald Trump being president right now? I want to see if you guys can guess it. Do you guys know who the one man is in the United States of America who is directly responsible for Donald Trump becoming president of the United States? And I believe in history, we're going to learn that this was for a reason. That this was for a reason. Well, Biden's laptop matter got the first part of the name right. That's the man right there. That man right there is the reason why Donald Trump is president right now. Understand that. Joe Biden is the reason why Donald Trump is president right now. Joe Biden. Do you want to know why Joe Biden is the reason that Donald Trump is president right now? The Democrats couldn't have picked a more incompetent human being to run this country for 4 years. A puppet player. Quite literally, what we had accused the government of doing, of being the deep state. What we had accused the government of being was a corrupt, oligarchical controlled fascist state. That the president was nothing more than a puppet. And what they do, they stole the election in 2020 and they quite literally installed an incompetent puppet who had dementia. And for 4 years, the American people watched that. Then, this year, Joe Biden did the remarkable. He turned on his own party. That story has yet to be told. Joe Biden turned on his own party. Most likely because, well, let's see here. Congress was investigating his son. His son has already been brought up on felony charges, probably going to see jail time. He can't pardon him. Joe Biden himself has massive amounts of investigations to him and his brother James. That's from Congress. The Democrats knew that they could probably steal the presidency, but there's no way they were going to get the House. Or they could steal the House, but they're not going to get the presidency. Which means that those investigations would most likely persist. And that Joe Biden would eventually go down. And Hunter would definitely go to jail. Joe Biden had to make a deal. And guess what? The Democrats, Obama, they no longer served any use whatsoever to Joe Biden. At his age with dementia, he is out of the game. Now it's about preserving his family, his legacy. He didn't want to go down as a corrupt politician that Donald Trump would have took him down with. So what did he do? He made a deal with Donald Trump. That deal, pardon my son, release the investigations off of me and my family, and I will endorse Kamala Harris. Not only will I endorse Kamala Harris, but after I endorse Kamala Harris, I will eject her out of all of the decision-making processes at the White House. Did you notice that after July 14th, Kamala Harris was absolutely cut off from all the decision-making processes that were happening in the White House? Not only were they, but everybody was. Barack Obama, the whole Obama deep state. Think about this for a minute. Do you remember when the news media was talking about how state governors like Ron DeSantis are ignoring Kamala Harris when she's calling them up, trying to give them federal aid and coordinate FEMA? And the mainstream media is like, well, Governor DeSantis won't take Kamala Harris as the vice president's calls. What did DeSantis say? He says, I've been governor for 4 freaking years. We've had 3 hurricanes, and never once have I ever had the vice president call me. He goes, my team and me are in communication with the Biden administration. I've already talked to the president. We have all the support we need. Why the hell do I need to talk to Kamala Harris? They cut her off. Now, you got to remember, Kamala was the surrogate to Barack Obama. That was the puppet master in the White House. Joe Biden right there made Kamala look like an absolute fool, powerless. Joe Biden is the one who endorsed her, sealing the deal for the Democrat National Convention to where they no longer could have an open convention and bring in the one candidate that had a chance against Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton, the only candidate, hands down, I don't care what you think, only candidate, hands down, that had a chance against Donald Trump. I'm not thanking Joe Biden, but understand. Now, did you know that the Harris campaign raised over $1 billion? Billion with a B. And they're over $20 million in debt. You got to remember, the Democrats, when they take in money, campaign monies, Act Blue, all this stuff, that's not free money that people are donating. These people are expecting a return on their investment. They're $20 million in debt. They owe big media. They owe their campaign workers money. And they don't have the money to pay it. And there's no more money coming in. What do the gangsters in the international global order, the international global cabal, what do those gangsters do to people that own $20 million, $1 billion? Oh, yeah. That's what they do to those people. Did you know today? Very, very, very interesting. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. Listen to this. And we do have a special guest that's going to be coming in here. And she's going to be my co-host for the rest of the night. I'm going to talk about Jerome Powell, Federal Reserve Chair. And then I'm bringing in my special co-host, which you guys all know and love. Yes, it's Tammy. Listen to Jerome Powell here.
Hi, Victoria Guido with Politico. Some of the president-elect's advisors have suggested that you should resign. If he asked you to leave, would you go?
No.
Can you follow up on, do you think that legally you're not required to leave?
No.
The Federal Reserve Chairman stating that he is above the law. That the Federal Reserve just proved 100% another conspiracy theory. That the Federal Reserve is a private organization and not a government organization. Not a part of the government. It is a third-party organization, privately owned, privately funded, and Federal Reserve Chairman Powell is not responsible by oversight from Congress and not responsible whatsoever to the President of the United States. But see, you have to understand that Title 10 of the United States Constitution, which gives the Federal Reserve its authority, can be repealed. That the Federal Reserve Act, it came in firstly in 1913 on a 20-year charter. It amassed massive amounts of debt for the United States of America. And after that, the last day of that 20-year charter, hey, you remember this? 1933, really important date financially for the country. Because that is the year that the country went absolutely bankrupt. And do you know why they went bankrupt? Because members of Congress were going to repeal the Federal Reserve Act and get rid of the Central Bank of the United States of America. And the Federal Reserve Act came back and says, nope, look at the law. You owe us money. You owe us all this interest, and we can hold the government hostage over this interest. So now you have to file bankruptcy. And what they do, we want you to pay your debts. How? Gold. Seize all the gold from the people, bring it over. We're going to put it into the Federal Reserve. Boom. That's exactly what they did. That came about through a series of emergency banking acts in 1933. From that point in time, they signed a 100-year charter to 1933. Now, that charter only remains in place based upon the stipulation that Congress, in its majority, and Senate, and the President, don't repeal it. I think we're going to see the repealing of the Federal Reserve Act in 2025. Because that is one assured way to get rid of Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve. What's
Wow.
up, Tammy?
What's up? Oh my gosh, that was awesome. I would just watch that clip like a couple hours ago. I saw it on that. How defiant. That was insane. No. Just no. Wow. Oh, I mean, everything. First of all, congratulations. I mean, we've won. Can you believe it? I thoroughly believe that, podcasts had a huge impact on the outcome of the election. Of course they did. I mean, the mainstream, the bigger ones, of course. Yeah. But I firmly believe that if the smaller podcasts, if they hadn't been out there doing what we've been doing for the last 4 years, having these conversations, yours bigger than mine, obviously, but they made a huge impact. Just us sticking to the truth, saying what was true when the bigger people like Joe Rogan and all these other people, they weren't even, they didn't have the guts to say it back then. They did not. It was the smaller podcasts that just kept steadfast, showing up with numbers, showing up with a few thousand, 10,000, just keeping going. That's what enabled the Joe Rogans of the world and the Theo Vaughns of the world to have these people on and actually say things that we've been saying for 4 years.
That's right. Well, and look at Sean Ryan and look at Theo Vaughn and look at Joe Rogan. I think they're amazing human beings. I think they're doing a great justice to the world. Yeah. But what did they do? They mixed in concurrent issues with dabbles of conspiracy. They left the mystery for the audience and they brought the mystery in. Every once in a while, you have Graham Hancock that comes on. Every once in a while, you have, Billy Carson come on. And, and it sparks that imagination. It keeps that audience there. But what were people learning about all that stuff? They were learning about it from us. That's how it became big. That's why it's trending on TikTok. That's why it's trending on YouTube. It's because of all of these small fish that were coming together, putting this body of information together. And that goes for 2020 voter election fraud. That goes for Crossfire Hurricane. That goes for the Q files. That goes for everything that about Pizzagate. I mean, everything that we built on over the years. It came about through these small influencers and alternative media, which really built the platform for these bigger ones. And don't get me wrong, Joe Rogan is the first and ultimate podcast, and he's a great dude. I have nothing against Joe Rogan. I think he does a phenomenal job. But
he was sitting on the fence, Josh. I remember listening to him at the beginning. He not only that, but he was like, "It's just a mask. I mean, it's a minor inconvenience. Just wear the mask. It's not that big." He was saying that in the beginning. And I always felt like, my gosh, you're good friends with Alex Jones. How could you possibly believe this? But he was just trying to play it safe a little bit. I get it. And I'm grateful to him. I'm not
he's got 100 million reasons a year to play it safe, right?
Sure. But
we mentioned that today. I was with Michael Jaco, Scott McKay, Alpha Warrior, and Nino, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was one thing that I think Michael Jaco said. He said, listen, or no, it was Scott McKay. He said, listen, the reason we are who we are is because we can say what we want to say because nobody's paying our salary.
It's true.
That we're not being told to say something. Nobody's paying us to say this agenda or this agenda. We say what we believe and what we think and what we research and what we know and what we understand. And that's what makes us real. That's what makes us raw. That's what makes this highly interesting. Because day in and day out, you don't know what you're going to get. Your life is like a box of chocolates, right? Like you don't know what you're going to get. And I'm fired up tonight. I'm riled up. I'm glad to have Tammy here. But Tammy, we won. Now the work begins. Now the hard part begins. We are waiting for the response. Now, I hear a lot of people talking about how there's still like 13 races out there for House and Senate. They're waiting for those to finalize. Unbelievable that they can't find the Democrats haven't found the votes yet to finalize those ones, but they are going to lose the House. They have already lost the Senate. They're going to lose the House. Most likely. We only need 5 more seats. And those races are at like 94, 95% already, but there's a few thousand votes still to be counted. We're going to go into a Donald Trump presidency January 20th. If we get that far as a country, if we get that far as a world, as humanity, we're going to go into that with a supermajority in the House of Representatives, Senate. We're going to go into that with Donald Trump appointing a new FBI director, a new attorney general, all the different secretaries of every single department. You're going to have an oversight committee over Health and Human Services ran by RFK Jr. He's not going to be the Secretary of Health and Human Services. I never even heard Donald Trump or him talk about that. All I heard is he was going to. It was an assumption, but he is going to be the oversight. So he is going to have an investigative task force that is going to investigate HHS, CDC, FDA, completely rip it apart. You're going to have Elon Musk, who's going to go in there. He's going to run this task force government-wide that's going to look at every single executive branch department and start ripping it apart, taking the sink out, taking the garbage out. Ron Paul is going to join him, most likely go on there, look into the Federal Reserve. You know, we had Tom Massey today, Representative Massey, who put the FBI on notice. I saw that. And you know what I said? Representative Massey for FBI director. Let's get it done. If we're going to do this, let's do it right. Put Massey as FBI director and shit, you'll know tomorrow of exactly what's happening. You know, Kash Patel is director of the CIA. All that D-class, here it comes. General Michael Flynn is Secretary of Defense. Boom, there it is. Now the mainstream media is trying to set the narrative. Well, Donald Trump is considering Mike Pompeo as Secretary of Defense. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I hope that's He did call him out on that speech that night, though. He did say something about Pompeo being in the crowd or whatever. Gave him a nod. I was like, what? I immediately got my hackles up. I was what? What?
You gotta wonder, because we're looking at 5D chess here, right?
I know.
Think of Donald Trump, Jeff Sessions. We don't like each other. I'm going to endorse Tuberfield, right? But Mike Pompeo is Donald Trump should be investigated. Maybe that was Mike Pompeo turning on Donald Trump for optics for a reason, saying go ahead and investigate Donald Trump because then people begin to see the truth. But in actuality, it was just optics. Like the sanctimonious. Ron DeSantis, such a horrible government, right? But now they're buddy, and it's like, gotcha. They played him like a fiddle.
That's
true. They played them like a fiddle. So I don't know about Pompeo right now. As my thoughts are, Pompeo is the one that wanted to assassinate Julian Assange.
That's why I was
Alderson, Trump. They were collaborating this in Vegas, but maybe there is something that Julian Assange has that is so detrimental to the sanctity of this country that they needed to stop it. Either way, they got it now. But we know we were going to see absolute decimation of the deep state. The Democrat Party is done. They are on life support. It is absolutely over for them. So let me ask you this, because they still have power for a little bit of time.
I am worried about that. January 20th seems far away.
40 monkeys escaped from Alpha Genesis Level 4 Biolab today in South Carolina. Now, I don't know about you. Have you ever been to Fort Detrick in Maryland, which is a Level 4 Biolab, the Biowarfare Center?
No.
To get into these things are like 3 levels of security. Okay? To get into the labs where they keep these animals is like multi-leveled security in a Level 4 biocontainment lab. Okay? So to think that these monkeys pull the pin, open the cage, and the window's right there, and they open the window and they jump out and 40 of them escape is kind of insulting on our intelligence.
Yeah.
This is like, we don't know how the nuke got armed and put on that B-2 bomber and flew halfway across the country, but it did.
Yeah.
The 40 monkeys just don't escape from a biolab with bioweapons in their systems. That is somebody who's probably Trump derangement syndrome going, I hope you infect a Trump supporter. And they open the cages up and let them go. And they scream PETA all the way. So.
Oh my gosh. I just saw the story and I hadn't put all the pieces together yet. But I thought, they told them to lock their doors and close their windows. I'm like, oh my God. Great advice. 43 monkeys on the loose.
Arm your rifles and shoot on sight.
Yes.
That's what you do.
Yes, I know. It's so interesting. The corruption within the CIA interests me a lot because I understand the need to have secretive operations for the matters of national security. But at the same time, who watches this? And it's going to be interesting to see how RFK navigates it, where, he can trust who's in the agency, but also how is he going to allow what needs to go on and keep these agencies in check do you know what I'm saying? Because there is an element of secrecy that needs to happen in order for us to keep our adversaries in check. So I understand that. But we've been given the whole national security bullshit for every situation. You can't know national security. But there is an element of national security that needs to exist. How do we keep that in check? I'm wondering that, because we have to be able to make sure they're not weaponizing it against the American people like they have been for however many years. And there's a lot of people that are going to really be freaked out when some of that stuff comes out, because we still have people, Josh, that don't think MK Ultra is real. We still have people that don't understand at that level the amount of operations and security stuff under, national security that happens that's against American citizens. And that is going to, Donald Trump said he didn't want to release some of the information on the Kennedy assassination. And he point blank said, if you knew what it said, you wouldn't want to release it either. What is that? Right? What is that? And how at risk are we for that information coming out and having people respond to that? How do we strike a balance moving forward to be able to, is it another agency that keeps that agency in check? I'm not for more government agencies, so how do we do this? Now that we're here, how do we do this?
Well, Trump kind of laid it out earlier, didn't he? He kind of laid it out earlier, and he kind of got multiple levels of oversight that are going to be added into the system. But I don't think that that's enough per se. But I think what's going to happen, Tammy, is when it comes to matters of national security, this has to be a level of accountability to where there is oversight upon the people that have oversight. One of the things he's going to do is he's going to pull the inspector generals out of the departments that they work for. So, for instance, the inspector general of the Department of Defense will no longer be under the Department of Defense. He'll be under probably the Department of the GAO, right? They'll probably be under the GAO or their own inspector general department. And so they'll have no authority whatsoever from that strict department, which means that in the past, the IGs and various other people who had oversight, for instance, the Senate committees, the Senate Armed Forces Committee, right?
Mm-hmm.
They would help classify information that was damaging to the United States of America. And this was political corruption. This was corrupt third-party contractors, these types of things.
Mm-hmm.
That's not national security. That is protecting your ass and decisions that you made. They are hiding secrets that basically protect themselves. That's not national security. That's a point that we need of accountability. And so I think what we're going to have is the National Accountability Office. The National Accountability Office will come in, and you'll have inspector generals that go in there, and they'll look over things. And then you're going to have another third party that's going to come in there and look over things. And then they'll present two separate reports to another department.
Got it.
And so this person will open up and say, okay, well, that's what's going on, and that's what's going on, and they should match. And if they don't,
then there's trouble.
And I think that that's probably one of the best alignments to do it. And that government efficiency agency, that government accountability agency, that's where it's really going to be. And if we can get something like that, oh my goodness, watch the hell out.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, I'm super excited. Don't get me wrong. We've had some, in the last couple of days, we've had some great information coming in. Joel Salatin has been tapped to serve in the Department of Agriculture. Joel, yes, of course, you met him at our summit last summer, right? He was here at our place. He's a, really famous regenerative farmer, probably the most famous farmer in our country. And he's been tapped. So that's exciting. I know RFK is going to zero in on our food supply. He's going to zero in on these pharma people. We saw today, I reported that the CEO of Moderna has stepped down.
No, it was the chief marketing officer.
Yeah, the chief. Yeah, yep. Chief executive. Well, it says, what does it say here?
Well, that would be
Stefan Bancel, chief executive officer, will vacate his role as the company's chief commercial officer.
Right.
So he's out of there. So we're going to start seeing these people flee the ship, right? And I've also seen some groveling going on, like Justin Trudeau tweeted out, "Oh, I'm so happy that, congratulations to Trump." Like, it just makes me want to puke.
So it's interesting too, because you got the groveling from these people, but then you got governors standing up and saying, "I'm going to be defiant. We're going to go to war with the Trump administration." These types of things.
Yeah.
But this is what I want people to understand: is future proves the past. You go back to the Q boards, okay? Resigning. How many people are going to be resigning over the next month? Are we coming into suicide weekend?
Oh,
all of these things start to make sense.
Yeah.
Now, where future truly does prove the past. How about this? Do you remember this from 2017, 2018 in the Q boards? They never thought she would lose.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Think about it right now.
Okay.
They never thought Kamala would lose. They went into this election 100% completely confident. They had it wrapped up. They knew they were going to win. We had released information last week from Barack Obama in private conversations stating, "Don't worry about the polls. Don't worry about it. We got this. It's all taken care of." Guess what? What happened?
Too big to rig.
Too big to rig. Well, so what happened? Did you notice that the media, the mainstream media, they wouldn't call Georgia, North Carolina, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. Yeah. They waited till 2, 3 in the morning until almost 98% of the vote came in, even though Donald Trump was leading by hundreds of thousands. Why were they doing that? They were waiting for the data dump. They were waiting for the votes to come in that never showed up.
Now, so I heard some rumors that trucks even arrived at specific voting places, but they were turned away because they were prepared with security. I don't know if that's true.
I don't know if they were turned away, but I do know that what they expected is they had mail-in ballots ready to go. Okay.
Yes.
We know. So Jerome Corsi was on with Nino today. He said that his team had discovered the algorithms that they were utilizing, the flip-flop votes, and that they got that over to the Trump team, and apparently they shut it down. I have a little bit more information on that. I'll say in a second. But the idea is that they were going to utilize hammer and scorecard, the flip-flop votes, make it as close as humanly possible. And then if Trump was leading, too big to rig, they would dump 50,000 votes into Pennsylvania. Because 50,000 votes, I mean, in 4 million is going to be, you can't even see it, right? So what ended up happening, from what I am gathering, and I've said this multiple times today, and I'll bring up a little post because it kind of confirms, I think, in a sense, what I'm talking about here. So let me tell you what I heard happened, and I do believe this to be 100% true. This came from a source of mine that one of the people that's giving me a lot of information on Iran and Israel and what's going on over there.
Okay.
And they've been highly accurate. Okay.
Okay.
This happened today.
Wow.
Chinese Xi Jinping holds telephone conversation with Donald Trump today. Okay.
Wow.
China, you got to remember, they played them like a fiddle. Let me set this all up for everybody. I want to set this all up for everybody. 2019, 2020, Trump does the trip around the world. Helsinki, 2019 with Putin. He goes to the Forbidden City with Xi Jinping. He goes to Saudi Arabia. You got the sword ceremony. You have Trump's visit around the world. There was made deals. The deals there were with the BRICS nations, saying BRICS is the only hope to rise up against the Western New World Order and to keep them at bay for 4 years because something big's about to happen. Okay?
Okay.
I talked about this specifically when COVID got released. This is when Xi Jinping began to turn on the deep state, because you got to think, Xi Jinping, he loves China. I don't care that he's a communist. He loves his country. he's not going to give up power to the Western New World Order. He's not going to give it power to an authoritarian, non-elected government body. You think he's stupid?
People that think China was all in on the New World Order concept, the UN, are crazy. They want to be number one. They want to be dominant. They say it point blank. So they may play along for a certain point, but they're never going to submit. And actually, it's probably a good thing.
That's right. So what do you do with 4 years if you're Donald Trump and you're playing 5D chess and you're strategizing the global environment? The number one thing that you understand is you have to keep the Joe Biden administration, the U.S. military, you have to keep all of that busy. You have to keep that whole situation so that global war, number one, doesn't break out, but also in the sense is you have to make them all look bad. So you have China and Russia rise up and build BRICS into this massive global free trade agreement, but it is also a military alliance that rises up against NATO. And they defeated NATO and they defeated the Western New World Order. Absolutely, BRICS did. Okay? But Donald Trump comes out about 2 years ago with rhetoric. I'm going to put 100, 200% tariffs on Chinese goods coming to the United States. And every economist is like, he can't do that. It's going to kill our economy, blah, blah, blah. Right? But how does China take that? China doesn't want that. That would destroy China's economy. China would be done overnight. So the Democrats, the deep state, knows this. So what do? They reach out to Xi Jinping and say, Xi, listen, dude, we got a Donald Trump problem. Can you help us out? We need to take this election. We need to steal it. But we can't organize the steal inside because they have spies everywhere within the United States. The Donald Trump's campaign, Flynn, all of these guys, they have spies infiltrated within the deep state. Yeah. So they have to go to some foreign actor to perpetuate this steal. And so China comes back and says, just give us access to the voting machines and we will take it for you on election night. And here's the key. Ooh. Here's the key. It's only treason if you get caught. Right? So they understood that if they steal the election on November 6th, it doesn't matter if China did it, they can cover it up. They didn't have to worry about that. They could cover it up the next day. It doesn't matter what Trump supporters say, right? Because that's exactly what they did to us in 2020. But you have to understand that 2020 was the setup. See, the Donald Trump administration, I believe the plan was let them take 2020. We reverse analyze everything that the Democrats did in 2020. We act stupid and think that, it came from these servers stealing packet data. Mike Lindell. We stage fake data with Mike Lindell. Have him be the stooge and go out there. The Democrats are like, we know that's not how we stole it. Ha, 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 ha. We know. And they attack Mike Lindell because he is the Ponzi. He is the pawn who is carrying the fake data. But that was a setup. That was a setup to distract the Democrats from thinking they got away with it. When in reality, Trump knew exactly how it was done. And so what do? They play them into this election knowing that they're going to do the same scheme again because the Republicans still haven't figured out how they stole 2020. So what do? They go into the 2024 election. We have a little flipperoo with Biden. On election night last night, do you remember Jenna Griswold in Colorado?
Oh, yes.
The 600 passwords.
Yeah.
Arizona, Secretary of State, same thing. Hundreds of passwords online. Do you remember Jocelyn Benson in Michigan, the Secretary of State? We have a nationwide glitch in all Dominion tabulators, and there has to be a patch put in. You notice that came out after the passwords are discovered. Benson said, we discovered this glitch during certification. And now, she goes, we've discovered the glitch during certification and early voting. She slipped. She wasn't supposed to say that because if they discovered the glitch during certification, that should have been decertified and it should have never been put in line. But she said it. We discovered the glitch during certification and early voting. And so they're taking them offline and now they got to put a software patch. Why? Because they just discovered all the damn passwords. Now, you know, in Colorado, when you go to vote at those tabulated machines and you're on that screen, there's a printer sitting right there. Now, the machines themselves legally cannot be connected to the internet, but they are connected to the printer. The printer, if you look behind it, has a blue Ethernet cable. That blue Ethernet cable is connected to the internet. That is a a proxy level of internet connectivity that connects those machines. And they also have Wi-Fi chips in them. So I want people to understand those passwords were put online by every single Democrat Secretary of State, by everybody, for China to access and get and then go into those machines. And what they would have done is a distributed flip-flop. What do I mean by that? They would have took 3,200 counties in the United States of America, and they would have started flipping every fourth vote, every sixth vote, every eighth vote, every 10th vote, and distributed that throughout the counties until that accumulated millions and millions and millions of votes. And at about 9 p.m., Kamala Harris would have took over Donald Trump, and now they come in and they dump 50,000 ballots in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania gets called for Kamala. Game over. Well, guess what? Xi Jinping told the deep state the fuck off. They never showed up. They never showed up. And what happens? 2 days after
that's
the
why
election,
it's so quiet?
2 days after the election, Xi Jinping calls up Donald Trump. I don't want my sanctions anymore, buddy. You're not getting sanctioned, Xi Jinping. Thank you so much. See how that works? No more tariffs for Xi Jinping.
Right.
So Xi Jinping now is a player, right? He can go, look, we can take out Trump by stealing the election for the Democrats in the deep state, but that's going to give rise to a Western New World Order, which is ultimately going to try to take over China and rule my country. Or I can just go out there and make a deal with Donald Trump and say, hey, these motherfuckers came to me and said that they wanted me to steal the election for you. How about this? You get rid of the tariffs. We make some economic deals, and I just won't show up on election day. And Trump's like,
well, it's eerily quiet. I saw in the comments here that someone's saying it's eerily quiet, and I totally agree. It still feels like it hasn't really sunk in because there was no fighting. There was no pushback. We're seeing the young girl liberal meltdown right now, which is hysterical. It's absolutely hilarious. But we haven't really heard too much from them. I'm not seeing a lot of stuff from them anyway. And even The View, I just saw a couple clips off there. It still wasn't as unhinged as I thought it should have been.
Yep.
So what's happening next?
Well, let's talk about this. Number one, Donald Trump is the first candidate in 40 years to sweep key 2024 swing states.
Yes.
First candidate in 40 years since Ronald Reagan to sweep all swing states. He did in 2020, but here we know what happened.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing. You saw the differentiation in votes, right? Did you see that graph where it's like what 18 million more for Biden?
Oh yeah.
I almost think Trump knew he had to win this time in order to prove that the 2020 was stolen, and he knew that.
Exactly. Now, check this out.
Never happen again. I really believe it. I've been told that by many very sophisticated people. Front row Joes, they probably know. But, and you'll never see the front row Joes either. You know why? Because they don't want to be bored. They don't want to be. That's the end of the front row Joes, but we're going to do something. We're going to have a celebration. Let me just tell you, so I have 3 big ones tomorrow, and then I have 4 big ones on Monday, and then we shut it down. Never to happen again. But, which is sad, but here's the good part. Hopefully we will have achieved our goal. We're going to become president, and we're going to have a different form of rally, a rally for our country.
So Donald Trump says that right there, a rally for our country.
Yeah.
This guy right here came out and said this. Bring back the World Fairs, Donald Trump. Bring back the World Fairs. Right? I say bring back the World Fairs. What do we find out?
250-year celebration.
President Donald Trump announced that the United States will be celebrating the return of World Fairs in 3 years that left the planet speechless in the 1890s. This happened yesterday. I'm on tune with this guy. I just know what he's going to do next. Right?
Yeah, well, and I love it because it's restoring culture in the country. That's what he's like. As soon as he came out and he said, right? He's saying that's what every good business person does. They got to create culture, and our culture has been destroyed. And so what he's doing is he's saying, okay, we need some things to rally around. We need to get everybody rallied. So the World Fair thing is an awesome idea. Also, the Patriot Games. He announced the Patriot Games for high schoolers, which, I mean, that's going to engage families like crazy because people are so, I mean, Friday Night Lights, right? I mean, it's a American tradition. So that's going to be really cool. And I just love that he has stated too, like, I'm going to let RFK go nuts on everything but oil. Drill, baby, drill, right? And I'm totally fine with that.
So I find this amazing because he's showing us the path to the golden age. And you're right. Culture is everything. And one thing that's happened over the last 60 years is our culture has been eradicated. You know, I'm collaborating with some people here in Minnesota. I'm getting in with the GOP out here in Minnesota. Awesome. Minnesota was only 100,000 votes from being red this year. 100,000.
That's amazing.
Okay, 100,000, which means that in 2026 we can take the governorship. And who knows who might run? I don't know. But this is what I was saying, right? With abortion, Republicans need to just sit there and say, look, we have to acquiesce to various liberal policies. We have to be nonpartisan about certain issues. And you want to know what? Abortion can be one of those. You want to know why you can acquiesce and allow Minnesota to keep its abortion laws and Colorado to keep its abortion laws? Because we don't have an abortion problem. We have a culture problem.
Exactly.
The problem in this country is education. It's culture. It's young kids who have no direction, who have no idea about responsibility, self-discipline. They have no idea about the decisions that they are making. And if we reaffirm and rebuild that moral and ethical boundary within their lives, guess what? They won't have a need for an abortion.
I said that same thing on my show today. I was like, we don't need to fight the fight about abortion. Let's put our energy into education. We should educate why this is horrendous choice to make. And then, you know, basically extinct the practice of abortion, because everybody realizes that life is, you know, no matter what, life is number one. It has to be. Or we are no longer a race, you know, on the planet.
100%. And so I looked at, we have to view a lot of what's happening in this world completely differently. We got to stop being Republicans. Stop being staunch Republicans sitting on this platform and not wavering. Guess what? It's time for a change, because if you want to win those liberal and Democrat voters who aren't radicalized, who aren't ideological, who are really just truly liberals, you have to go in there and you have to win that vote. You have to win their hearts and the minds. And how you do that is you say, look, a woman's choice is not my business, but you know what? That a moral and ethical foundation in the family is a must if you want to have the freedom to make those choices and decisions for yourself. And that's the thing, is we're giving them the freedom to make the choices and decisions without a moral and ethical foundation.
Yeah.
That's where we failed as a society.
Absolutely. Just like we don't have a trans surgery problem, we have a parenting problem. And Sun Tzu, you know, his theory on fighting, the best strategy for fighting is for your enemy to not know you're at war, right? We should have learned that from COVID, because that's exactly what they did. We have been in a war the last 4 years. It's just most people didn't know it because no war was declared. We need to do the same thing, but we need to focus on education and information and pouring into our communities. We need to be models for the ethics and the morality that we want to see returned in the country. And the way you do that is you stop fighting these battles that are redundant and stupid anyway. You know, it's just the same old talking points. If we actually focus on mobilizing our communities with action, then guess what? We get results. And results, you cannot argue with results. So if we end up having regenerative farms all over the place because we're pouring into our communities and supporting it, then automatically the food supply gets better. We're focusing all on creating instead of fighting. Look at the difference that happened, okay? Soon as Trump's first assassination attempt, doesn't everybody think something changed right after that?
It's like a Mandela effect. The timeline just...
It totally changed. Here's what changed. We went from defense to offense. And there was jokes. I mean, look at the end of his campaign. He's rolling up in a garbage truck. That's the winner. That is, you are losing if you're in defense. If you are up there screaming at people, engaging in the argument, you are losing. You are in defense mode. Screw your argument. I don't need to argue with you. I'm going to be over here working.
Well,
I'm
and that's
gonna
what he
work.
did.
Yes.
He denied all the rest of the debate. Said, no, I won.
Exactly.
It's done. I have no reason to get on stage and debate you. None.
And now
whatsoever.
what is he going to do? He's going to build culture. People are going to be happy. They're going to be able to buy houses again. He's going to, you know, fix the economy.
Oh.
And the proof will be in the American people and our quality of life. And they can sit there and have their arguments about abortion, but nobody should be there arguing with them. Yeah. Stop.
Look right here. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump accepts Russian President Putin offer to discuss ending the war in Ukraine.
Exactly.
And just like that, it was over. Oh, but it gets better, people. It gets a lot better. Look at this one. President Putin says Russia is not abandoning the U.S. dollar anymore.
Oh, that was a good one. That was some good stuff. He talked about the New World Order. In that Putin did. He talked about the New World Order.
He said the liberal New World Order
is over.
Is over.
Yeah.
It just died.
Yeah. I mean, it's such an exciting time. I mean, we're just really naturally inspired. We're just super focused on solutions. You know, even my text line is full of people that are like, okay, I want to get healthy. This is what I've been dealing with. Mm-hmm. And I'm just trying to service as many people as possible. Because I know when we get people plugged into real solutions for health, we're not going to have to worry about, you know, the medical system anymore, because the market will fix it. People are not going to pay for disease when they understand how to curate health. And so it's just such an exciting time. It is so exciting. We have all these great leaders in place. And I can't wait. And, you know, people are like, oh, you know, Donald Trump's the savior. No, he's not the savior. You know what? Because what's happened is there's enough people on his team now that, you know, no matter who's leading the team, this movement's on its way. It's unstoppable.
Yeah. It's the culture of MAGA. People chose MAGA. They chose MAGA. That's right. They chose it all. I want to show people something. You're looking at a picture of Xi Jinping there. Okay? Mm-hmm. Now, I believe in comms, okay? I believe in comms. And I know for a fact that there's some people out there that follow me, okay? And I'm not tooting my own horn, but you see Xi Jinping there. What's he doing?
I can barely see it.
Oh, he's holding up a wine glass.
Oh, okay.
Right? He's holding up a wine glass, right? Cheering. China president says that he is ready to strengthen relations with the United States of America. And I said he might have told them to fuck off. Okay, you ready for this?
Yeah.
This was my post yesterday. Deep State today is wondering why those 20 million votes they ordered from China never showed up.
Wow.
I don't know. I just like pointing out the obvious there.
Yeah.
So I want to show people. I said this the other day. Okay. We were talking. I think I was on with Scott McKay and Alpha and everything like that. We were talking about Trump's going to go to jail on November 26th. I said, no, he's not.
Oh, yeah.
I said, no, he's not. Watch what happens. And I explained September 4th, Donald Trump's lawyers walked in to court with Judge Merchant. It was not public. They opened up a file folder and they told Judge Merchant, if you prosecute Donald Trump and send him to jail, this information is coming out. The next day, the House Weaponization Committee opened an investigation into Judge Merchant's daughter. Okay?
Oh.
They opened an investigation into Judge Merchant's daughter for taking money from the Harris Waltz campaign during the time that her father was prosecuting Donald Trump. Okay? That same day, guess what Judge Merchant did? He delayed the sentencing of Donald Trump from September 18th to November 26th.
Right.
Today, we learn this. It's being reported that Judge Merchant is now going to consider tossing the president-elect's 34 felony convictions out of court before he returns to the White House.
And yep. I saw that. And also Elon's lawsuit. That's been, I think it's 6, it's been going on forever, I guess. And it was dropped also today. The lawfare has to stop. A while back, Trump said, if we really want to make a change in this country and in terms of regulating and whatnot, what we need to do is make it go after lawyers. First of all, he said the lawyer lobby is the worst lobby of all. It's not all these other ones. If we go after the lawyer lobby, what we need to do is make people who sue liable for all of the
Let me
costs.
just say this.
Sorry.
All of the costs, all of their legal costs. So if you sue somebody and you lose, you have to pay for the whole thing, your own costs and whoever you're suing's costs. And Trump said that'll fix it all, because all of the pharma issues, everyone that's suing, it'll completely reform it. So we have to go after the lawyer lobby, he said. And I thought there was a lot of wisdom in that.
So Mike Davis, okay, good friend of Donald Trump, one of Trump's lawyers. He is a former aide to Supreme Court Justice Gershwin. This guy is going to be your next attorney general, okay? Understand this. Former senator, he is going to be your next attorney general. Listen to this.
Let me just say this to Big Tish James, the New York Attorney General. I dare you. I dare you to try to continue your lawfare against President Trump in his second term, because listen here, sweetheart, we're not messing around this time, and we will put your fat ass in prison for conspiracy against rights. And I promise you that. So think long and hard before you want to violate President Trump's constitutional rights or any other American's constitutional rights. It's not going to happen again.
We've been warning people on the show, Mike. This isn't the same Trump administration. Stop messing around. Don't rig elections. Don't illegally vote. Don't try the funny business, because we know the team this time and they are not effing around.
That's Donald Trump's attorney general, most likely.
Wow. I hope so. I hope he goes in there. There's a lot of people who are reaching out to me saying, we need retribution for everything that's happened, and all this COVID stuff can't be swept under the mat. And I agree with that, because it could happen again. And it's just rich to see these liberal women freaking out about abortion and how they're going to get their right to vote taken away. I don't even know where they're getting this stuff. I think it's coming from Oprah, but they're going to get their rights taken away for voting and all this stuff. Where were you guys when they were trying to jab needles in our arms? You can sit here and say, oh, it's, you're going to lose this. We're going to lose our rights. We lost our rights. A lot of us, we couldn't go to schools. We couldn't go on trips. We had everything canceled unless we were going to take those freaking jabs that people have died from. It's just, it's astonishing the level of hypocrisy that these liberals have.
Yeah, 100%.
It's just astonishing. It's like, what? It's just beyond belief that they're delusional. This is why I say liberalism is a mental illness.
So America First Legal reported today, we just won our lawsuit with Ken Paxton in Texas and a coalition of 14 states. We have officially stopped the Biden-Harris administration's illegal attempt to grant mass amnesty to hundreds of thousands of illegal aliens.
Yep. And I heard they cut off their EBT cards in New York. It's like, this no longer serves us. We're done.
Yep.
So now
that was Mayor Adams.
That
was Mayor Adams, who, by the way, is Donald Trump came out and goes, I got to give Mayor Adams props. Donald Trump put his arm out to Mayor Adams when the Democrats went against him.
Yeah.
And now what's happening?
Have all these hungry migrants in the city, and they're going to start kicking them out of these hotels pretty soon too. And that's going to be,
Well, listen to this one.
Like I said, we have to get it through till January 20th.
We're going to talk about that in just a minute. I want to get to this part first. FBI may be erasing evidence of misconduct. The Oversight Project claims the FBI is using system upgrades as a pretext to wipe computers holding evidence of alleged abuses. In the new FOIA request, the group asked the FBI to release all communications related to software storage upgrades and any mentions of record deletion or destruction. The House Oversight Committee is trying to preserve all the documents from the Biden-Harris administration, and they're deleting it as fast as they possibly can.
I bet. I bet.
Now,
they're going to be shredding, deleting, doing. I mean, that's what this next month is going to be about for them.
Yeah. So you got Van Jones, you got AOC. They're melting down. Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Kimmel, they're melting down. Today, a University of Oregon employee is on leave after telling Trump supporters to jump off a bridge. We got death threats coming out on social media telling Trump, people calling for GoFundMe's for hitmen to go take out Trump.
I saw that. Yeah.
So
it's still, eerily quiet, which makes me really concerned about the monkeys that you were talking about.
Well, and then I want to show people this. I showed it yesterday, but I want to show this to you. Republicans didn't win New York State.
Right.
But that is the dramatic red shift that just occurred in New York State.
Yeah.
Double digits in each county in New York State, which means that New York State is moving red.
Right.
California, did you see California moving red?
I did see that, yeah.
Minnesota, I just said,
yeah.
100,000 votes away from being red.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
People are waking up.
They are losing their power base.
Mm-hmm.
They know they have probably less than 20 million people who support them. They have less than probably 5 million radical ideological people that actually support them.
Right.
So this is where it gets interesting, because this is, guys, I want you to see this for what it is. The radical liberal deep state has lost. Okay. This is the final battle for them. They have only 3 months left of power. Think about that as they have 3 months left of resources. They have bombs, they have nukes, they have everything within their arsenal. Okay. They have 3 months left until it's over.
Yeah.
Do you think, honestly, they're just going to lay down and let it go?
No. There's going to be something. There's going to be something. I just, I hope and pray that, Trump has something anticipating that something already lined up.
And I think that is the case. I think they absolutely do have something lined up and ready to go for this, because so far they've counter-moved everything that the Democrats have done.
Mm-hmm.
They've done a brilliant job. So what are the various different scenarios that we could see unfold? Number one is we had pro-Palestinian and radical Muslim protests in Chicago last night. We had Antifa.
Was that very big? That seems pretty small.
Was maybe a few hundred. You had a few hundred Antifa in Oregon, but these seem to be unorganized.
Okay.
I'm telling you, I believe that the organization of events is coming about. Now, there was an interesting post today I'm going to try to bring up, because this was from Alex Soros.
Oh, wow.
And this was an interesting post that he's putting out there. And okay, I'm bringing it up right now. Before we get into the doom and gloom, Alex Soros says, before you beat yourself up about the elections, please read this. The incumbents in every single one of the top 10 major countries that have been tracked by Parl.gov research project and held national elections in 2024 were given a kicking by voters. This is the first time this has ever happened in almost 120 years of records. What are they saying here? Harris lost votes, Sunak lost votes, Macron lost votes, Modi lost votes, the Japanese, the Belgians, Croatians, Bulgarians, Lithuanian governments in election years this year. Any explanation that fails to take account for this is incomplete. In other words, the radical liberals around the world lost votes across the board. First time in 120 years of recorded history. What does that tell you?
Yeah.
It's crumbling underneath them.
Yeah.
So what weapons do they have to use against us? Now, there's a probable scenario, Tammy. Now, Joe Biden passes away in office. Kamala Harris rises to the presidency before January 20th.
Oh, no, Josh. Stop.
I'm telling you. Rises to the presidency. And then immediately after that, we have either a bioweapon release to where we have a national crisis or disaster. We have an EMP attack. We have a nuclear attack, massive terrorist attacks across the country, whatever it might be that initiates COOPCOG, continuity of government, of which then the suspension of habeas corpus, the Patriot Act, and NACS rights are suspended. Martial law is declared, and they suspend Inauguration Day.
Yeah.
No, well, but here's the key that I want people to understand about that. Constitutionally, there is zero way around the January 20th at noon date, which means on January 20th at noon, whether the Biden-Harris administration still has power or not, and are under a national emergency, the military will immediately.
Okay. That's the mechanism, the military. Okay.
Fall under Donald Trump immediately. So here's the thing, is on that day, January 20th at noon, Donald Trump is president. Mm-hmm. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Donald Trump is president.
Whether he's sworn in or not?
Whether he's sworn in or not.
Okay.
Okay? So on that day at that time, the military will recognize him. And you got to remember, you have 4-star generals who were in control of the whole Western Hemisphere. Right. That person's name is 4-star General Charles Flynn. Mike Flynn's brother. And you damn well know on January 20th at noon, that guy's going to say, Donald Trump's president, not Harris. Let's go get her out of the White House and help her move out, whether it's a national emergency or not. So we have to understand that there are things in place. And I think that this could have been what was meant by military is the only way, is that they are going to try to seize power, create some type of national emergency through false flags. Initiate coup and cog, which is continuity of government, which then therefore declares martial law. In and around that time, this is where the military becomes a critical component, because if the military sees a coup going on by a certain administration, they don't have the right, they have the duty to intervene.
Wow. I hope you're wrong.
Tell me what they're going to do. Tell me another scenario where the Democrats stay alive.
The other thing I can think of is some kind of war, right? An active war where they could suspend him taking office as well, or some kind of emergency declared that would enact martial law in a different way. But I hope it just goes smoothly. Somebody said today, I can't remember who it was, that they thought it was going to go smoothly because they want to make it, highlight how ridiculous it was for the right to contest the last election. But I thought that was pretty, dreamy thinking. Because I don't think they're going to.
I don't post on my personal Facebook page at all. And I posted like 3 times in the last 2 days. And one of the things that I posted on my personal Facebook page, okay? And nobody on the left wanted to reply to this. On my personal Facebook page, that's not my personal Facebook page. Hold on. Let me go. Oh, that's how we do it. I'm not used to Facebook.
Somebody in the comments just said, it's going smoothly. Enjoy the moment. That's what I'm trying to do, but Josh is wrecking it.
I said, asking my liberal friends. In 2020, Joe Biden received 81,284,666 votes.
Yeah.
Where the main excess from no more elections came primarily from swing states. In 2024, Kamala Harris received 67,028,733 votes. It's a little bit more than that now. A difference of about 14 million votes.
Yeah.
Yesterday, in the most important election in human history, one of the largest turnouts ever recorded. This is with people showing up. What happened to the 14 million voters from 2020 that seemingly didn't show up? Exactly. What happened to the 14 million voters in 2020? Right there. There's their line.
Yeah.
There's your line right there. In 2020, what happened to that 14 million voters? Just didn't show up. Where did they go? They just decided, the most important election, got to stop Trump and abortion and fascist and Nazi, and we're just not going to show up. No.
Yeah.
China
never existed.
They never existed in 2020, and China didn't deliver them in 2024. Baby.
Oh, gosh.
So listen, I hope to God, I pray that the deep state just says, good game. You got it.
Yeah.
We'll try again in 8 years. Good game. Congratulations. Right? And deals are trying to be made. And I guarantee you right now, deals are being made.
Oh, absolutely.
I guarantee people are like, Donald, I love you, man.
Yes.
You know I didn't mean all that. Adam Schiff's like, God, I love you. I love you, Donald. I really didn't mean any of it. They put me up to it. Barack Obama put me up. I guarantee people are talking right now. But
sickening.
I hope that the next 3 months are cool, calm, collective. They're as smooth as a baby's bum. That we go into January 20th. We hoorah, we celebrate. Donald Trump comes in and shit begins to come down. The hammer of justice flies. And in 4 years, we can go, holy shit, what a ride. We just landed on Mars. I hope to God that happens.
Me too. But I don't think so. I don't. I would like to believe it.
I will tell you, if you asked me on November 4th what I thought, I said there's a very slim chance Donald Trump wins with an overwhelming landslide. We take the House and we take the Senate. But I don't think that's going to happen. And it fucking happened.
Did. Yeah.
Okay?
It's true.
So there's a possibility that this was, so you know where, like you said, everything shifted in Butler. Once
totally.
they missed
100%.
Once they missed a shot heard around the world. Once they missed that shot heard around the world,
yeah,
they were done. They knew they would never get another shot like that again.
Yeah, and Zuckerberg came out with a letter, like I think it was the day after or maybe 2 days after, saying, oh, I'm so sorry. Like you saw the shift in people. It was obvious.
That was the shot heard around, the last opportunity to take Donald Trump out, and they missed.
Yeah.
And now it's fucking game on. Because here's the thing. Some of these people are going to hang. Okay?
I hope so.
They're going to be convicted of treason and sedition against the United States of America. And this is why Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton are all setting the narrative like, Donald Trump wants to send me to Supermax in Colorado, but the Supreme Court already said I can go to Guantanamo because there's nicer beaches over there.
Yeah.
Okay, they're already, you got Hillary Clinton out there going, if he wins, he's going to come after us. That's how he's a Nazi. He's going to persecute us, and then when he comes after us, then he's coming after you. No, he's not. He's coming after these son of a bitches who corrupted the American people, stole our money, and I'm telling you, the next 4 years are going to be glorious.
Split our families up. Yep. Split our families up. I mean, the list goes on and on.
The next 4 years are going to be absolutely glorious. We have to get through this shit.
Yeah.
And it's going to be really interesting to see who Donald Trump picks within his administration to come in at certain positions. It's going to be really interesting to see the first 6 months of his administration. Yeah. It's going to be really interesting to see what unfolds over the next 3 months up until January 20th. Because I believe, as well as many other people, you ain't seen nothing yet. They are going to come back and they are going to hit fucking hard. I hope not, but they're going to try.
Yeah. Well, we're ready. We're just going to keep working in our community and keep connecting people to the real solutions for health. And, we're just going to keep going with the wave, the momentum of the Make America Healthy Again. We're We're steadfast on that. That's our road. And it doesn't matter what happens. We're going to keep going on with it. I don't think people would lock down with it. Even if it was contaminated monkeys, I don't think people would lock down.
No, people aren't going to lock down. They're going to load up is what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Guys, listen, I want you to find Tammy online. If you want to go to her Substack, it's a really easy address. If you've been watching me for any time, you know I have redpills.tv. To find Tammy, you go to redpills.tv/NIP. That's going to be her Substack. You can also go to our Substack, redpillproject.substack.com. One thing that I will do later on when I put up the daily news brief is I will recommend to all of our subscribers Tammy's Substack so you guys can go out there and find her, as well as you can find her on x.com, okay? Now,
that'd be awesome. I have struggled with my Twitter account, so that would be awesome if people would follow me on there.
Watch the scroll bar down here. It's going to say Visit Tammy right there. Right? Visit Tammy, redpills.tv/NIP, and then you have x.com, Tammy Cuthbert G, right there. Go visit her. Guys, I am going to be heading over to the after chat Q&A. This is Thursday nights on the Social Red Pill. You're going to see the Social Red Pill's address right there, socialredpill.com. Dude, $5 a month, you buy me a cup of coffee. It's pretty easy. Okay. Socialredpill.com. You can join in on our after dark Q&A every Thursday night. For my Substack subscribers and for my locals community who are subscribed to the daily news brief, go check your appropriate feeds. The link for the Zoom will be posted in there tonight, so you can join in. That'll be in about 10 to 15 minutes when I'm going to join. The Zoom is open almost immediately. Tammy, you're more than welcome to show up too. I know people would love to talk to you. I know. You're
Can't
a busy
do it tonight, but maybe next time for sure.
But I want people to understand as well, you can text Tammy.
Yeah.
Right? Guys,
yes.
Be nice. 720-303-8868. 720-303-8868 for any and all matters around your health. Find health coaching, to find great health products. Visit Tammy. You can text her right there and she'll send you all of her links, guys. Listen, great show tonight. Tammy, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Josh. I'm so happy for all of us. I mean, I really am. I know it's exciting.
It is. Tomorrow night, Conversations on the Fringe. Laura Eisenhower will be joining me, and we'll be talking a lot about what is going on in that realm of the world. So I will have that up and ready for everybody tomorrow night. I am actually going to be heading out hunting, so that will be posted at regular time. I'm going to be recording it earlier, and I'm heading out hunting. Opening day is Saturday, so wish me some luck. But much love, respect, guys. God bless. Take care. Have a great night. Daily brief will be posted in just a few hours. We got a few things to take care of. I got something going on for the daily brief, probably an interview, just letting you know. But that will be posted, and you'll also have one tomorrow and probably Saturday when I'm hunting. So I just want to let you guys all know that you will have daily briefs for the next few days. Much love, respect. God bless. Take care. Have a great night. We'll see you guys next time.
Good night, Red Pillars.
Boone, that's impossible. Only try to realize the truth.
What truth?
There is no spoon.